you so much. So welcome to the world of spinning, weaving and dyeing. And today I'm going to show you a few aspects of this and what's happening with that craft at Spring Equinox. So as you know, people have worked with spinning, fiber animals and plants for thousands of years. It's a busy time of farmers. Now is the time when fiber animals are popping out everywhere, the next generation. It's a time for planting plant fibers like flax. Here's a Bedouin lady. I learnt spinning from them with a spindle made from an old sandal. This is my spinning wheel and spinning chair. Now, every culture has their own spinning traditions and their own equipment and stuff, which is really beautiful to have a look at. And they've always used color and pattern and symbols to create ways to communicate meanings of all kinds. So that's also woven into the fabric of our clothes. This is me at the wheel, showing you how it's done. You have to do many things at one time. You've got to treadle with your foot, and then you have to feed the wool with your hands, and then you have to keep an overall eye and feel on what's happening, the tensions, the speed, what's happening with the fiber in your hands. So it's a good way to really keep all of the aspects of the mind busy, which I find really beneficial. It's quite hard to stop once you get started, but it's quite a nice, calming place. It's really great. I still haven't worked out how you prick your finger on a spinning wheel, though. I think that is a mystery that belongs with fairy tales. So it's a beautiful craft. It takes a lot of preparation in the spring to get ready to create this at the end of the year. I'll show you my dye garden coming up next. Here we are. This is Weld. It's a historical dye plant. It offers yellow, very reliable yellows. It's really cool. You'll see it later. This is Woad. You might have heard of. It's also a very old plant in the UK for creating blues, also for dyeing skin, allegedly as well. We're moving down to Lady's Bedstraw. Growing, there it is, just coming up. The roots create red, the flowers create yellow, and it's a beautiful, fluffy, fragrant, sweet plant. I love it. It's one of my favorites. There it is. Makes a beautiful cut flower as well before it goes in the pot. That's Woad in my mother's garden in its flowering form. That's Weld in the wild. Wild Weld. It's crazy. Look at it. So I love it. Catkins are available now for dyeing. I use them when they have fallen from the tree. You have to be very careful how you gather, which is a whole other conversation. Dandelions are appearing. These are the dye processes, pots, and this is gorse picked by a good friend, Sophie. It's for the brave. Use it carefully. It's very prickly and it creates these lovely yellows, which are really current and particular to this season here. Super nice. At this moment in time exactly, we have gorse and dandelion and catkins, and they all create very particular yellows, quite watery, beautiful yellows like sunrises, dawn, and fluffy chicks. And if you find throughout the year as well, you'll find the references between the colors that our plants are holding at the time and the mood of the season that we've talked about here. So you do find that lovely interchange between them. And there's lots of intersecting cycles with plants. There's spinning, humans, animals, plants, time and soil. All of these cycles kind of come together. So it's really interesting to think, but the fibers of the clothes that we're all wearing, if they're natural fibers, they all stem from this place. And if you follow the processes, you find we're really inextricably connected to the land in all the different processes that make up life. If you follow the quality of the thread that you produce and the yarn, that depends on the quality of the fleece from the sheep. And the quality of the fleece depends on the health of the animals, and the health of the animals depends on the quality of the grass and what they're eating, and the quality of the grass and what they're eating depends on the quality of the soil. So if you follow the threads of the craft and materials like this all the way through, you realize that you're not always working with just materials, but with threads of life that do not end. And that's one of the things I just love about it. And after a season of creating and working with the plants, I can show you some here. This is the blue I've chosen to talk about for Spring Equinox. And there's this is a fiber dyed with indigo. And this blue is a really nice Spring Equinox color for the clarity of the waters at the time, and also the sky. There's a very particular blue of the sky at this time, which kind of matches the green of the grass. And the plants and trees and grasses are very particular sap spring green that you only find now. And between the green and the blue, the grass and the sky, those colors are really quite nicely balanced. It's a shocking, like a bright sap green and a really almost electric blue. Then this is some yellow from the lady's bed straw. And there's so many early spring flowers at the moment that are yellow. The iconic ones like daffodils, crocuses, primroses, buttercups, and many of the early ones are bright sunshiny yellow. So this is a lovely yellow as well, the growing warmth. And in my practice and what I make with them is I combine them in different combos, different seasonal combos. I call this combo Spring Equinox, of course, and I blend and braid them into wearable items such as this. I twist them together in braids that you can wear seasonally. You can wear pendants on them. So there's many uses of fibers and how you can bring them all together. So that is my passion and my love. It does make it very easy to get up in the morning. It also makes it very hard to go to sleep because you're too excited about what the next day is bringing. So that's what I'm working on now. So thanks very much for having a look at those. You may not know anything about fiber crafts, but it's a great way to connect with the seasons. So now moving on, I can introduce you to Robin Paris, and she is going to be reading storytelling. She is a storyteller, a visionary, an actress, and she'll be telling us about Ostara and Blodeuwedd, two legendary women of spring. Over to you, Robin.
Thank you. That was great, by the way. Thanks. Well, the first goddess I would like to introduce is Ostara. Information on her is scarce, but here's what I found on her. Ostara is the Germanic goddess spring and dawn. One of Ostra's name variations, Astora, slowly evolved into the name for the holiday, Easter. Her mystery is evident every year. Rabbits are sacred to Ostara, especially white rabbits, and she was said to be able to take the form of a rabbit. She is the first warm spring wind, the birds that return, the trees that bud and curl forth leaves and flowers. She's joyous, but can as easily turn suddenly solemn, like the spring weather that can quickly turn to rain. Like spring itself, she is capricious, innocent and knowing by turns. The natural world is coming alive. The sun's gaining in strength, and the days are becoming longer and warmer. It is the first day of spring. Hail to the maiden of spring, the dawning of the year. There's a wonderful children's story written about Ostara. So gather the kitties, get comfortable, and have a listen. Many, many years ago, during the time of dragons and castles, there was a beautiful goddess named Ostara. The goddess had long, thick hair, the color of golden wheat, and her eyes were as blue as the sky above. Ostara was the goddess of spring, and it was her job to make sure that the earth awakened from its winter sleep. One year, on the day before the festival, the hare wanted to give Ostara a gift. but the hare had nothing that would be fit for a goddess. The hare was very poor, and he had a very hard time feeding himself, never mind giving a gift to someone. Well, that day, while searching through the forest for some food, the hare found a fresh egg in the grass. He was very hungry, and he sat down to enjoy his lunch. He was about to crack open the egg when he suddenly stopped. This egg would make a nice gift for Ostara, he thought to himself. An egg symbolizes birth and spring. Yes, a very nice gift indeed. So the hare hopped home to decorate the egg. The next day, he went to the meadow and hopped up to the goddess. He shyly presented her with his gift. Ostara took one look at the egg and gave the hare a huge smile. It was a beautiful egg. The hare had painted the egg with lovely designs colored from the dyes of roses, buttercups, and other plants. He had then sealed the egg with beeswax so that it would be shiny. Well, the goddess was so happy with the gift that she wanted everyone to have one and share the joy. That day, the goddess of spring told the hare he could come and live in her castle. He would only have one job, and that would be to deliver a decorated egg to children around the world. The eggs would be delivered on the eve of the spring festival so that the children would wake up and find them in the morning. And so every year, Ostara's bunny and his descendants would deliver eggs to the children. Today, we call the hare the Easter Bunny because the Sunday after the first full moon of the spring equinox is Easter Sunday, a Christian celebration. Besides, Easter egg is a whole lot easier to say than Ostra egg. And now for the legend of the beautiful blue diamond. Within the Celtic tradition, storytelling has long been a favorite occupation. Long held as the embodiment of the most ancient Welsh legends is the Mabinogion. It is in the Mabinogion we find the story of Blue Diwedd. The goddess Arianrhod deems that her son, Lula Gaifs, will never marry a mortal woman. So Lu's uncles, Math and Gwydion, create the lovely Blue Diwedd from the flowers of the oak, broom, and meadowsweet to be Lu's bride. Shortly after their marriage, Lu leaves his wife and travels to see his uncles, leaving her alone in the castle. After a time, a hunting party travels nearby the castle, and Blue Diwedd sends a messenger to inquire the name of the leader, whom she is told is Grun, the Lord of Penelyn. After hunting all day, the party comes to find themselves at the gates of the castle, and Blue Diwedd invites them in. Once Grun and Blue Diwedd lay their eyes on each other, they fall deeply in love. At the time in which Grun must depart, they begin to talk how they can be together forever. And Grun advises Blue Diwedd to determine the means in which her husband could be put to death. After Lu's return, Blue Diwedd confides her fears of his untimely death to Lu. Lu consoles her by telling her that he cannot be easily slain, except by a wound, and the spear wherewith he is struck must be a year in the forming. And he cannot be slain within a house or without, nor can he be slain neither on horseback nor on foot. He can only be slain by making a bath for him at the side of a river and putting a roof over the cauldron and thatching it well and tightly and bringing a buck and putting it beside the cauldron Then, if he places one foot on the buck's back and the other on the edge of the cauldron, whoever strikes him will cause his death. Well, soon after this discourse, Blue Dye sends to Grun, telling him to begin making the spear. After a year in the making, the plan was ready to be launched. Blue Dye went to her husband and asked him again about the validity of the method of which he could be killed. To calm her fears, he agreed to show her. Therefore, Blue Dye had the scenario he described, created at the moment he put one foot on the edge of the cauldron and his other foot on the back of the buck. Grun emerged from the shadows and strikes him with the spear. Immediately, Lou turns into an eagle and flies away. When the news of Lou's demise reached his cousins, they were greatly saddened, and they sought out the eagle, which they changed back into a man. After his return to human form, Lou was in a sickly state and took over a year to heal and become whole again. During this time, Blue Dye and Grun were living together in the castle in which Lou and she had lived. Once healed, Lou is determined to get his possessions. So he and his cousin storm the castle. Blue Dye and her maids run into the forest and, looking back to see their pursuers, fall into a lake. They were all drowned, except Blue Dye herself, to whom Gwydion said, "I will not slay thee, but I will do unto thee worse than that. For I will turn thee into a bird. And because of the shame thou hast done unto Lulaw Gyfes, you shall never show thy face in the light of day, and thou shalt not lose thy name, but shall always be called Blue Dye. And even now, the owl is called Blue Dye.
This is also, how many years have I known you?
25.
It's like crazy.
It was
25
quick.
You came on an empowerment journey to England that I was running. Sharon is one of those unique people that has magic running through her fingertips. She is an intuitive masseuse. I don't let anyone else touch me but this girl. She has a lot of fractions to her personality and to her abilities, as usually you do. If you already have it in your fingertips, you got to have it elsewhere, and she does. I always use her. I use her in the States as a spiritual scribe for me. She's a traveler, and today she will be talking about the emotions of spring equinox. And love you dearly. I'm so happy you've decided to do this. Especially when I said, you're going to be doing this, and you went, okay.
Yes, it kind of goes like that, but
It does, doesn't it? Anyway, go ahead. You can start with
well, thank you so much for having me today. It's great to be here with everybody. And here we go, a little bit about the emotions. Spring is uplifting and filled with wishful thinking. It's a magical time of rushing waters, capturing the movement of our dreams and the blossoming of our hopes. This is a time of equality between dark and light. Try to embrace the happy, pleasing moments that spring offers and hold them dear to you. Everyone around you benefits from your uplifted heart and the joy that emanates from you. Today, let's look at our emotions as it relates to spring equinox. Why is this important to mention? Because whatever is happening with Mother Earth will directly affect all of us. For every season, we have an opportunity to learn about our emotions. You might have noticed that our minds and our bodies can feel seasonal changes too. The first place that we're going to have a look at will be the elements. So the question is, what is the element of spring equinox? And the answer is that there are actually two elements. Tricked ya. The first element is water, and the second element is fire. So here we have two opposing energies, which can feel quite tumultuous, but are actually necessary together in tandem. Allow me to explain why water and fire are the elements for this time. Mother Earth has just awoken from her wintry slumber, and here in New York City, where I live, throughout most of February, we have had piles upon piles of snow. Some of my friends living in upstate New York still have their backyards filled with it. So the temperatures are fluctuating between hot and cold, and the snow piles are melting or have melted already. Where do you think these strong streams of melted snow have gone? As you might have guessed, the water is running right into the ground, while at the same time, the frozen earth is beginning to thaw, giving life and sight to the first bulbs of spring. We do not have leaves on the trees yet, but we do have the first peak of spring bulbs breaking through the barely defrosted earth. As many of you know, water is the giver of life, and we cannot come into being without it. Our bodies are made up of 70% water, our brain is 78% water, and our blood is 90% water. However, we need the element of fire for new life to push through. For reference, water is considered a female element, while fire is considered to be male. Let's take a deeper look at water. Have you ever tried to contain a spill? It is independent and it cuts its own path with the ability to move around obstacles as if they were nothing. Its power can nurture, but we've also seen how it can leave destruction and devastation in its wake. Water can be turbulent, rushing and slowing down at its will, and it can overflow or dry out on a hot day. So it's possible that you might experience new opportunities opening up to you, only to be held back by something unexpected. Water directly corresponds to our emotions and our feelings. It's our whole emotional makeup. It's very probable that at this chaotic season, emotions will run high. You might feel reactionary and overly sensitive, or perhaps just as confused as Mother Nature. You might experience crying spells or a tension headache, and tempers could flare. Water is reflective, mirroring to us that which we cannot see, allowing us a moment to search within. This could translate into perceiving something without being able to see the whole picture. Everything is not going to be in full view yet, so wait. Take a pause. Remember, they are just bulbs showing only the tops of their heads. The rest is still a mystery. They have not blossomed into their full bloom, so expect to have a possible lack of clarity. We cleanse with water, we heal with water. It's a great time to detox and cleanse. It is our intuition, compassion, psychic visions, and dreams. It also represents illusion, just to name a few. And just like the flowers that are putting so much effort into pushing through to bloom, only to get dumped on by yet another round of snow, we too might feel the anticipation to get a move on things, only to feel the frustration of being held back. Perhaps you have the sensation of being antsy and impatient with many thoughts swirling around your head, or the feeling of things coming at you from all different directions. Just remember, the flowers are very aware of their purpose to bloom, and bloom they shall. They also know that they are being nourished by the melted waters, and that in due time, it will be the last snowfall of the season. And then they get to rock out in their full glory with the sun beaming down on them, which brings me to the next element, fire. Fire is about our personal power, our will and our drive. It is motivation and our passions. We can only manifest through the ignition of fire. Fire is transformation with the incredible ability to convert the energy of objects into other forms. Your creative brains could be very switched on at this time with new visions. Maybe you're developing a masterpiece that can be beneficial for all, as fire represents rebirth and new beginnings. In its out of control form, it can show up as impulsive, recklessness, and force. It can cause outbursts of rage and burn everything in its path, literally and figuratively. We've all lost it at one point or another, even you. We must control fire's destructive component if we are to gain the most benefit from this element. And if you really have pent up energy and need to get some of that aggression out, maybe you can find a place in your area that offers you the ability to go in for 30 minutes or an hour and just smash stuff. Here in New York City, we have a place called Break Bar. Look for something like that in your own area. It's okay to vent and release as long as it is in a safe and constructive way. So at this time, let's recap. Outside, we have piles upon piles of snow that have melted and it's rushing into the ground. A barely defrosted earth is pushing new life through. And in just last week alone, we experienced what I call a weather whiplash. Weather whiplash is when you have record-breaking temperatures that climb into the high 70s with an opportunity to go out, get some sun wearing only a t-shirt, only to shoot back down into the low 20s a day later, making us require our winter coats once again. It's coats on, coats off, coats on, coats off, speeds of slower than faster, faster than slower. Mother Nature is still working it out, and so are we. Everyone is going to experience it differently. Just remember, forewarned is forearmed. For the next few weeks, try to keep realistic expectations. Everything is just waking up. Don't expect to have it all together, but if you do, I'm completely jealous. Do your best to chill. It will get warmer, the days will get longer, and this pause offers us a time to reflect and fine-tune any of our brilliant ideas and visions that we wish to give birth to in the coming time. The sun is shining a bit more, so use this opportunity to get out and move. Get into your physical body, create, maybe paint something. And if you wish to work on slowing down your breathing, relaxation, or emotional freedom technique known as EFT, there are tons of videos on YouTube that are free. A new you is emerging. We are in the home stretch. Keep planting the seeds that will lead to a warmer, brighter, lighter future. It's just around the corner. Let the snow will melt and the sun will shine and we will all still be here. And it's at this time that I would like to thank my friend, my teacher, and my mentor for over 25 years for having me today. And if you haven't heard about it or tried it, Lady Colleen Heller offers a 1-hour-a-week program called Insights that has made an incredible difference, not only in my life, but in the lives of so many. Please check it out on her website at ladycolleenheller.com. That's ladycolleenheller.com. And remember to be your best self. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Until next time, happy spring equinox.
That's ladycolleenheller.com, just in case you missed it. Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
That was great. And thank you so much, really. It's a pleasure to watch everyone grow and change. Like I said, if you're passionate about what you do, there's nothing better. a gentleman who's 25 years building organic farms in sand in Sinai, and they use camel waste and donkey waste and any other kind of waste besides human to nourish the grounds. And they plant these trees that actually suck up the salt through its roots. It's quite extraordinary. And if you bite on these leaves, they're so salty, you just can't even imagine. And the tomatoes and the cucumbers and things you would never think could grow in this salty water are incredible.
Your crops growing on salty water.
Now you test it, and now you saw the crop. Okay, so miracles are happening here. It's not only the salinity of the water is one factor. There is different factors. So what kind of seed that you are using, the plant which is salinity tolerant. This is first thing, like resilient, like the moringa and the other green, like the tomato. They can tolerate this salinity of the water. And then we have the soil building with a lot of nutrient to the soil that help the plant to grow. And also you have the dough. And for example, this is atriplex. This atriplex, it takes the salt from the water. Try this one. Try. It's salt that we use it to crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we use salt. So you have different plants that help other plants to minimize the salinity. And we have seed banks. The first generation coming from these seeds, they are adaptable and they can more salinity tolerant. Okay?
It's really salty, yeah.
Yeah, it is salt. We use it.
And how's your community reacting on it?
I took this model and I started to share this knowledge with my community. We have more than 10 backyard Bedouin women food gardens. Plus we have 12 farmers that they have their own camp, like the model of Habiba. Totally we are 75 farmers.
So you're mixing.
Everybody, my name is Magid El Said. I'm living in Nueva, Sinai since 25 years. I'm originally from Cairo. We started Habiba Organic Farm 2007, and it was the main purpose for food security, as all the community here depending on tourism, and tourism is not sustainable. That's why we started the Habiba Organic Farm. And in that time I thought that I was doing something good, but unfortunately I understand lately that we should regenerate the area, not only in this farm but in all Nueva and then in all Sinai. We hope that one day we can leave something good for the next generation that they are coming, and to heal the earth and most of the damage that unfortunately my generation was part of that. We believe in education, and we believe in workshops, and here our economy, it comes from the beach lodge and from the Majdoul palm date. And here you can see we have created the after school learning center. That this after school has been built by mud and straw, and with many volunteers from around the world. We need to continue to finish the other rooms for the buildings. Volunteers, they stay either on the beach lodge in cabin, or inside the guest house on the farm, or in the community families, with the community family that we can share. Thank you very much, and looking forward to meet you soon. God bless everyone doing his bit towards sustainability and better life for everyone.
Going to hear from Jacqueline Ritchie-Tanzi, medicinal herbalist and ecology. She'll be talking about the medicinal herbs of spring from the east coast of the USA. Over to you, Jacqueline.
Hello, everybody. Oh my God, what a pleasure it is to be here and speak with all of you, and to share my knowledge on herbs of spring. I have the great pleasure to live right near the Atlantic Ocean, and I took a beautiful long walk on the beach this morning, and it was so nice out that I actually lost track of time and ended up walking much further than I intended. But see, that was my inner body, my inner soul telling me what I need to do. So as a human, we feel connected with nature, and we often react to what nature encourages us to do. And getting out and moving your body in the spring is actually our innate response to the hibernation of wintertime. It's a way for us to release toxins from our body, both physically as well as emotionally. When we move our bodies, we move our lymph system. And our lymph system is actually where our immune system is held. So it is moving everything. It's kind of getting everything up and churning it, moving it around, just as you see the water doing. You'll see the waves churning, the wind is churning, the leaves are starting to bud and they're starting to blossom, and it's all about change. So Mother Earth will often gift us the kind of herbs that we need for this time of year. These herbs that often grow at this time in the early spring help our bodies to adjust. Now, humans have evolved alongside with plants for millions of years, and we actually have a symbiotic relationship with them. We help them grow, they help us grow. It's a beautiful symphony and a dance of life that we share together with Mother Nature. The plants of spring have been hiding under leaves of fall. In the wintertime, the snow covers it, the leaves are covering it, and it's nourishing it. The waters, as it snow melts, drag those nutrients, the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the carbon, drags into the soil, drains into it, and it feeds the roots of these plants that have been laying dormant all winter long. And in the spring, they'll start to pop up. You'll start to see the little bits of little spring sprouts starting to come up. And they cleanse us. And they have special chemicals that help us in the spring. So I'm going to talk to you about two of my favorite all-time spring herbs. And I bring them up because they're very special, and that every part of the plant can be used by us to help us. Now, the first one, as you can see up there, is dandelion. Now, most people consider dandelion a weed. They go way out of their way to put chemicals on their lawns and to pull it up, and it's ruining my garden. But this dandelion is a very, very special plant. Every part of the dandelion is not only edible, but it's medicinal. The leaves, the stem, the flower, the seed, the root, they all have a slightly different purpose, and they are all wonderful for us as humans to help get us through spring. So I'm going to go with you a little bit through what each part of the plant does. If you look at the picture there, you'll see the leaves there. And I think most of us are familiar with the dandelion, and the dandelion grows pretty much everywhere on the earth except in the tropical regions. So I think many of us have probably seen a dandelion already. Now you'll see we're all familiar with that yellow top of the flower, which can be thrown into salads, as well as the leaves, particularly in the springtime. In the early spring, the leaves are very nutrient dense, and they have a slight bitter flavor to them, but they're still quite yummy. They're high in vitamin C. They have beta-carotenes in them, calcium, iron. Another function of the leaves and the stem and the flowers is that they act as a diuretic. Now, diuretics is the action of making us urinate. So urination and increased urination in the springtime is good for us because it helps rid our kidneys of toxins that have been building up over the winter months. Now, often in the wintertime, we think we eat and we crave heavy foods like pot roasts and chicken roast and mashed potatoes and very heavy foods. In the springtime, we need to get that moving. So diuretics help us to do that. And what is especially nice about natural diuretics is that they cleanse us without stripping our body of nutrients. A lot of the medications we get from the medical professionals will make you cleanse, but they also strip us of the nutrients. The diuretics that are given to us during the earth do not do that. So we keep those vitamin C's and beta carotenes in our body, but still our kidney gets the opportunity to get cleared. Now, the bitter flavor of dandelion has a purpose to it. It stimulates digestion. So you don't want to cancel out the bitter flavor with sugars and salts. You want to embrace that bitterness, that puckering that you get when you eat it, because it kind of gets all the juices flowing in your digestive system and helps you to digest and move things. And the root of the dandelion has a very special purpose in that it supports and cleanses the liver. It is actually considered one of the premier herbs to help your liver. So not only does it cleanse out any toxins that you've been eating or absorbing through the winter months, but it also supports the liver. It's like a little hug to your little liver saying, I gotcha, I'm going to help you through it. So, and the liver in the springtime is one of the active, both emotionally as well as physically. It's one of the organs that you want to get moving. Liver is often associated with anger. So a lot of times in the spring, you feel this desire, like, I got to move. And you feel angry. That's your liver actually saying, let's get going here. So the root of the dandelion does a fantastic job of supporting that. Now, the next herb I want to talk about is nettles. Nettles is a beautiful, beautiful herb that also all parts of the plant are edible. You have the leaves, you have the stem, the root, the flower, and the seeds. And like the dandelion, each part of that plant plays a slightly different role. If you look at the leaves, it looks like it doesn't have much of it doesn't stand out to you. It's not something if you were walking along, you would say, oh, look, there's nettle, like you would dandelion. It kind of stays hidden. It's kind of, indiscreet. However, if you do happen to walk through it with bare legs, you will know you walked through it. Because if you've ever taken a walk through the edges of the woods, you feel this sting and you think, oh my God, something bit me. You probably walk through a patch of nettles, because nettles has on it these tiny, tiny, tiny little hairs that are stingers. And it's considered a pest because of that. However, those stingers have a very, very specific reason for them. And they're in medicine and in herbalism, it's considered highly valuable. Those little stingers and on the leaves have antihistamines in them, natural antihistamines. And what happens to many of us in the spring? We get all happy, we all go outside, and then all of a sudden we start sneezing and our eyes start watering and our nose starts running and seasonal allergies hit us, interfering with our enjoyment of spring. So nettles, with these natural antihistamines, is the perfect plant to take to help if you're with your spring allergies, really with any of your allergies, because it is a natural antihistamine. The leaves and the stem of the nettles are very, very highly nutritious. They have calcium in them, magnesium, iron, vitamin A. They're packed with natural proteins. Nettles is considered a blood builder. So it's a premier herb to take if you have anemia. It's really nutritious. In fact, I even have with me right now, I have nettle tea that I actually like to drink cold. It's quite delicious. It has a very, very nice, almost like sweet and salty taste to it. So it's quite enjoyable to eat as well as to drink. Now the roots and the seeds of the nettle plant are also highly nutritive, but they are particularly considered stimulating to your urinary system and in men to the prostate. So it is a important herb that many men indigenously and in cultures throughout the world have taken it to support their male organs and their virility.
We are running out of time.
Okay.
So is there one like roundup thing you want to say? Because we're way over.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to say that spring is a gift to us all. And I encourage everybody to get outside and see the plants and explore nature and reconnect with it, find a source for it. And I also just want to say thank you to you, lady, for having me on. And for anybody that's interested, she has a fantastic website that you should definitely check out with all kinds of material, ladycolleenheller.com. Thank you.
So nature is not just from below. The information is also from above. What's coming from the skies and stars to the land is every impression of every storm, meteor, star shower, or raindrop. Sacred landwalkers and skywalkers understand the impressions from the stars. It is what sacred landwalkers do. In addition, they assimilate the information from everywhere and bring it forward for all in actions and deeds. This is our teaching last year. Lady was teaching sounds and movements to access tree wisdom. And what I just read, that was about Sacred Landwalking by Lady Colleen Heller. So today I'm going to talk to you briefly about my journey, suggest something that you can do yourself after we speak and perhaps practice in the year to follow. So how we live today has come a really long way from our sense of connection that we had millennia ago. And I'm sure many of us feel it in our own way as maybe a sadness, a longing, curiosity, or something missing, which is possibly why everybody is here watching us today. You might also have a love for the natural world and a real wonder at it and wondering what to do with that. How do you deepen that? And for me, Sacred Landwalking has offered me the answers to bring all of those things together in a way that is practical and has really benefited me in my life. So the wisdoms and knowledge that our ancestors have, they're not lost, and we sense it in different ways in our peripheral vision when we're out sometimes, but rarely. Sometimes someone comes along who sees it alive and with full-on vision, and they can hear through the veils of time, so much so that time itself dissolves. And that is Lady, who was my teacher in Sacred Landwalking, continues to be my teacher in Sacred Skywalking. I was really lucky enough to meet her in '98 when she was the guardian at Chalice Well and Gardens, as we've heard about. And I was able to be part of the first ceremonies there, of the ancient Wheel of Wisdom that she brought back to the well, and they are still happening today. So my journey with the wheel started then in 1998, and I began Sacred Landwalking in 2006. And I have to say, I had been looking for a teacher of the festivals, and I'd seen different things and been to different things, and none of them really met what I was looking for. They were kind of, they'd read something or they'd heard something, and there wasn't really the depth until I'd found the ancient Wheel of Wisdom, which was challenging and in a whole new way. So it was a very unique training, and honestly, I struggled with how to talk about Sacred Landwalking today, which is a surprise after doing it so long. But the reasons for that is, one, that the experience of Sacred Landwalking really made words no longer adequate allies to convey what I was experiencing, the kind of depth and dimensions of experiencing trees and the land was beyond words. And so that made it harder. And also because it is an oral tradition, it's very different to anything that any one of you may have experienced in learning. There's no books to read, there's no reading weeks, there's no half terms, there's no holidays. It is full on, and you are the work, and you can never put it down, not even when you sleep. So it was hard. It was really hard. It was hard. It was like, the only way I can describe it is like when you see films of people going on quests in fairy tales and those fantasies, but it's not a fantasy. It's more real way of learning. I was sent out to do things and I didn't like, what am I doing? Wax on, wax off. There was a bit of that going, I don't get it. I'm in the middle of the desert with my staff in my hand, with a bunch of Bedouin looking at me, and I have to do X, Y, and Z without them thinking I am absolutely nuts, which I stopped worrying about after quite early on, actually. So it was hard. There were elements, there were trees, plants, animals, pathways, signs, symbols, communication. I was sent out to come back with answers, and in the realm where questions do not require a binary answer, what do you say? Where do you go? There were layers of initiation, and I was really brought to do my deep challenges, and I had to push my way through. And the terrain was as much within me as it was outside of me. But luckily, the gifts I was discovering myself on the journey and the worlds that were opening exponentially, they were more than enough to hold me as I was melting down outwardly. So the foundation of the natural world that you think you know really changes. So at Spring Equinox, what to share with you, how, to help you experience a little bit of that you can handle in your everyday life. And to begin with, really, it's just about talking about the earth being sacred. We've heard it, we believe it here, we've heard it, we've read it in books. But now it's time to put the books down and take that outside and just spend time looking out of a window if you can, standing with feet on the earth if you have a garden, and just stand, be on the ground, be still and notice. Just breathe, notice the air around you. You're breathing in the sky. Remember that? You're not breathing in the air, you're breathing in the entire sky. See what that smells like. How does it fill you? What do you sense about it? Just start. You may not have any answers, that's fine, but just start opening to the questions. And you feel the feet on the ground. And Spring Equinox is really great time to do that because the earth is lifting so much and there's so much energy that's alive all around you. And see if you can sense that differently. And really just bring that fill yourself up with that feeling of sacredness and whatever that word means to you, even if you're not sure. Just spend time with that and connection to what you're seeing and a part of. And then really fill that up and take it out with you as you go. Because the land benefits so much from a good walk, loving, respectful, careful, conscious and thankful. And the land benefits from that simple thing in ways that we do not realize. You can leave an area shining with one loving footstep. If you just think about that for one moment, the difference we can make when we're just going about our day. So fill up with that and take that sense of sacredness out with you. Walk it out, see what changes. Like, what do you notice and what notices you? And look up, look right, look left, look down. And that sense, it doesn't need to end when you reach a street, when you hit a town or a city. There is nowhere that is not sacred. You can take that everywhere. And as Lady said, we should always try to practice as our ancestors did at the close of every journey that you make. If it's planned, just running to the shop, just don't turn your back on nature when you return. Just turn around, make a conscious choice to stop, view your area and smile and be grateful before you re-enter your space and bring that sacredness of energy, nature to indoors with you. So practice that. See how it goes, and I hope that could be the beginning of a new way of experiencing. So let us know how it goes, SacredLandWalking@gmail.com. And if you have the chance to study with Lady, she is offering Sacred Land Walking 10-week courses, and I really would recommend that if you have the opportunity to do that. You will not regret it. So thank you, my teacher, Sacred Land Walking, opening the world to me in ways that I could never have imagined.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, everybody. We're going to do a quick closeout because we're running over. Thank you for whoever's still staying on because we have gone over time. We didn't get to cover some things. I'm sorry, but we had to cut it because we had so much fun so far that we probably needed more time, but it's okay. So we're just going to close. Everyone's going to get a chance to talk now. And I want to tell everyone, don't forget, whoever you liked or you want more information from, SacredLandWalking@gmail.com. Just tell us, even if you tell us who you think they are, you don't know their names. This one talked about this one talked about that. It doesn't matter. We'll know who they are and we will send you their information so you can contact them. Danny, unmute yourself and what would you like to say to close?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been a real, real pleasure. Yeah, I'm thankful.
Thank you. Casey Girl Duke.
I don't know if you can see me, but I'm the host working in the IT background. So thank you. And it's been a joy.
Great. Jacqueline Richie Tansey.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I look forward to hearing from anybody.
Great. Sharon Ackerman.
Thank you again for having me. I love everybody that is on this panel. Everybody is just so talented. And, we have the greatest teacher. So blessed that I followed my intuition and arrived in Glastonbury and met you.
Thank you, Sharon. That's so kind. Miss Robin Paris.
Well, I first want to acknowledge and thank this awesome panel for all their knowledge and wisdom and that they so lovingly shared. And I want to acknowledge and thank one of my oldest and dearest friends, Lady Colleen Heller. Your love and passion for what you do is an exquisite gift to all of us you have taught and mentored. I'm a participant in Insights since its inception, and I'm also a student of Goya, which Lady also created and teaches. And both for me have been filled with a lot of aha moments, and I am forever changed. And my life is opening up in ways I never expected. So for anyone interested in creating a joy-filled life, please go to Lady's website, dig around and see and choose what resonates for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much. Louise Amelia Phelps.
It's been an absolute honor to host this alongside my teacher from a long time, Lady, and to see everybody's faces here as well and all coming together to share different aspects. My life has completely changed, and I would not be here in as happy and a fulfilled and expressive state if it wasn't for stumbling into Chalice Well and the ceremonies in 1998. And I will always be thankful for the wheel in my life and the landing pad that has been and continues to be as I move through my life. So thank you for making this happen, Lady.
You're welcome, everyone.
Well, I hope you had some new thoughts. It'll be great to hear from you.
So tomorrow's Insights for the Sunday crew, and Tuesday and soon to be Wednesday. So we will have some things to talk about tomorrow. Okay, thank you all for being here. Please reach out. You have SacredLandWalking@gmail.com. Casey, you rocked it from Dominican Republic. Girl, go. I'll see you when you get back. Jacqueline, Nettles, Dandelion, don't forget. Daniel, wisdom always flowing. Sharon, I can't wait to see you in New York again soon. Robin, I'll be talking to you. Goya girl, and Louise, as always, staff and walking. Bye, everyone. Thank you so, so much for being here. Lady Colleen Heller, love, 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 out. Over and out. Bye, everyone.